Hey, what's up YouTube? Alright, this is a video contest entry for SoCalPreppers. Now, let me just say off the bat that SoCal is a cool dude and you should go check out his channel. He asked for a couple of questions to be answered, so I'm going to get into that in a second, but it might drag out for a little bit, so I wanted to put his channel plug right up at front so you can go take a look if you don't want to stick around for the questions. Basically, before I jump into the questions, I want to go over a couple personal points. Some of you probably don't know this, but I've actually known SoCalPreppers for quite a long time. In fact, you'll see in this picture here, this is him from when he was a kid, and we were actually in camp together. And believe it or not, that's what he looked like back then. And yeah, he's come a long way. Now, also, here's another thing. If you haven't been subscribed to him since the beginning of his channel, this is a picture of how he used to do all his videos. He actually had a little costume and he used to talk and go over stuff and review guns and everything in this getup. But I think a bunch of people told him, like, dude, you know, it's kind of way over the top, so you should just, you know, go back to your normal self and videotape yourself with your normal clothes on, which is cool. I liked it either way, you know. But anyway, so yeah, I just wanted to throw those personal pics out there and give you a little background on that. And now let me jump in. He had some specific questions that he wanted answered for the contest, so let's get into that. Alright, so the first question was, how far should our Second Amendment rights extend? You know, meaning what's the cutoff point? Should people be able to own bazookas and laser-guided missiles? You know, how would you handle that? And this is a really tough topic when you sit down to think about it, because, you know, on the one hand, we do have the right to bear arms, and the right to bear arms isn't the right to just own a revolver or a hunting rifle, it's to bear arms. And when you look at it in the context of the reason why we have this right is to be able to defend ourselves against a tyrannical government if it should arise, you know, then you need to be, the public needs to be on par with whatever the tyrannical government would have at its disposal. So when you look at it like that, you know, it gets really complicated to nail this issue down. At the same time, rational people would really not want to have every single person in the country have a small, you know, nuclear device in their garage. And then, you know, you get into the whole type of, well, okay, maybe people should have access to everything that they could get their hands on, but then everything should just be regulated. You know, I don't really even have an answer for this. How far should the Second Amendment go? I think it's something that really has to be pondered and, you know, scrutinized at all different levels, and I haven't put that much thought into it. Obviously, I support the Second Amendment, and I obviously think that the current rules and regulations and current administration policies are, you know, way too oppressive. And what they just passed in California, that they're going to start IDing everyone to buy ammo. I mean, this is just, it's a bad scene, and I've been saying for some time that I've expected in 2011 them to actually try and basically override the Second Amendment through legislation, which looks like they're not going to accomplish this year, but I still think it's something they're trying to do. The UN Small Arms Treaty goes through next year, so we can expect to see some sort of connection or ramifications of that into the U.S. next year. But I don't know. So I'm going to cop out and not give a solution on that first question here. The next one was the alternative energy. SoCalPreppers asked if, you know, what our thoughts on it were, if it was worth doing, etc., etc. Now, I don't know too much about it. From my research, I mean, obviously alternative energy is great. If you can get off the grid, that's great. But from my research, you have to put down a good chunk of change to, you know, get like a whole solar panel setup going. And one of the main things that I never really hear people talk about on YouTube is the context of something like alternative energy for people who don't own their home. Because, you know, I think if you own your home, or you're in a house that you're going to be there for like at least 15 years, then solar energy, wind energy, all that kind of stuff would would make sense to implement. Again, at least if you have the money to do it. But if you're a renter or something, I wouldn't even think twice about it, because I don't think you can really take all that stuff, pack it up, and take it with you. I think the logistics of that and the likelihood of it breaking in a move and stuff would be too high. So, but yeah, basically alternative energy, I think it's great, but unless you have a bunch of money, it's probably not too realistic at this point. All right, the third question, which is a huge question, he said, if you were elected president, basically how would you fix the country? And actually, I have a video that I've been working on in notes for some time, and it's basically that exact question, like some real solutions, trying to put some stuff out there. I'm not really going to get into that now, because it would take, you could easily do a 15-minute video on that, and I don't want this to run too long. But let's look at a couple of the points that he made. The borders, how would you secure the borders? I would do something like I would like declare a certain distance around the entire border of the country, a special circumstance where all the people in America who are living within that zone, they're like basically like deputized, so they themselves can take an active role in enforcing border laws. I also like the idea of arming all those people who live in that zone. Here's your government issued M4, good luck. I mean, that's a simplification, but my border policy would go somewhere along those lines. Also, I think if you actually just enforced the border laws, like, arrested the people, put them in jail, or, deported them immediately, or whatever, we're going to do, it seems that they don't do that. So that would be a big step in enforcing the borders. And I would make it not beneficial for illegals to be here. So you would go to the employers and say, look, you can't have illegals. And I'm more along the mindset of making things beneficial rather than penalties. Like, I think that's more of a free market thing. So in other words, maybe you give tax breaks for companies that don't have any illegals. I know it sounds kind of silly, but, or, you give some sort of benefits for companies that are just really following the law and not supporting illegals in any fashion. And I think if you approach it that way long enough, in no time at all the illegals would be gone, because they wouldn't be making the money that they're making here. All right, so that's border control. He also mentioned foreign policy. I think that one is too big to tackle in this video. Let's see, entitlement programs. Again, basically, I think there has to be a big paradigm shift to the voluntary aspect. Let people choose what they're gonna pay their taxes into, or like if people want to go into Social Security, or they want to contribute to a welfare thing, and then if they need to tap into that at some point, they can. I really think that's the way to go. You let people voluntarily choose what they're going to be a part of, and then we have an overall umbrella to protect people in like a worst case scenario. Somebody gets into a car accident and they can't afford to do whatever. You don't want to just push people to the side of the street and let them die. But I think the majority of the entitlement stuff needs to be replaced with voluntary programs that people buy into, and basically a lot more of the private sector rather than the public sector, because